Well, it is official. The Winnipeg Jets have signed Jonathan Toews to a one-year, $2 million plus incentives deal. Jonathan Toews, the three-time Cup winner, is coming back home to his hometown of Winnipeg, Manitoba to join the Winnipeg Jets. Has not played the last 2 years due to illness, due to being sick. His body, needed to recover. He's apparently in game shape right now. Will he be the player that he used to be? That remains to be seen. His contract on the surface does not, scare really any team by any means. 1 year, $2 million. You're saying, wow, there is no risk whatsoever with this move. However, there is a little bit, and, we're going to get into that now. As for every 10 games that Jonathan Toews plays after game 20 of the season, he gets an extra $550K added to the cap. I don't really have a problem with this if he plays at an effective level. If he's able to be effective out there, if he makes an extra $2.75 million, that's fine. Now, if he plays 50 games and he makes the playoffs, he gets another $500K. Wins the next round, gets another $250K, right? This deal can be up to $7 million if the Jets win the Stanley Cup. And, if they win the Stanley Cup, no one will be complaining. That's totally fine, right? But having Jonathan Toews be Jonathan Toews of old in this universe in his current state at 37, removed 2 years ago from hockey, it's tough to see. It's pretty clear here that the Jets are going to try to knife Jonathan Toews into being their 2C. If it works, great. If not, and he plays lower in the lineup, that's great too. However, you're probably losing Nikolai Ehlers this offseason, and you still need to find a second-line center if Jonathan Toews doesn't end up being that guy. Are they going to be able to be doing that at the trade deadline? They could, but the one thing that scares me about that is that we saw what happened this year with Brock Nelson, right? Jets got to the trade deadline. Obviously, they wanted Brock Nelson. They offered a pretty big package from the sounds of it, and Nelson axed it. He said he wouldn't go to Winnipeg, and I'm just worried about that situation happening now as the Jets are in win-now mode. This core is not getting any younger whatsoever. And Mark Scheifele's going to be 33 this upcoming season, right? And he's still playing at a high level, but how long can he keep playing at that high level? How much longer can he be the 1C for Winnipeg, right? I love the ad of Toews. I think it's a good ad for Winnipeg, but I think we do have to dial back the expectations a little bit. And, I know a lot of people understand that he's not going to be, prime Jonathan Toews anymore. If he somehow turns into that player, hey, the Jets have a real guy there and a real chance of winning. But it's pretty likely a guy that's been removed 2 years from the game at 37 years old isn't going to be playing at a top 6 level anymore. And that is the risk here, because if you're putting all your eggs in the Jonathan Toews basket right now and it doesn't work out, you need to figure out a plan B, right? So it's definitely a wait-and-see move. I don't hate the move. I think he's going to help the Jets win games this year. And, I know what I'm saying, about his age and being away from the game for 2 seasons kind of, comes off as negative, but it's a fact. It's a true, worry. If the guy was from anywhere else but Winnipeg, I think that, a lot of people would be looking at this maybe a little bit differently, right? It's a feel-good story. It's really fun, and I hope it works out, but there is a risk to it. And, if you're losing Nikolai Ehlers already this offseason, and if Toews is the big splash, if they don't go ahead and make another move, then you got to really hope that guys like Brad Lambert, Braden Yager, Nikita Chibrikov coming off a broken leg are ready to go and contribute to the top 6. I think that Chibrikov is a great player. I think that he can be an effective middle 6 forward, but we're going to have to see how ready guys like Lambert and Yager are, if they're ready to take the next step, if this Toews situation doesn't come to fruition like we all think. Because I don't think the Jets are going to be having Vlad Namestnikov as their number 2 centerman heading into, the playoffs next year. I think they want to avoid that. They tried to change that situation this year, trying to acquire Brock Nelson, as I mentioned earlier, but it just didn't happen. Toews doesn't have much to prove here whatsoever, if anything. He's won 3 cups. He's been the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks. He has nothing to prove. He got paid in his career. This is a feel-good story, and I'm sure he's going to be driven to produce in his hometown. but no matter what happens, his legacy does not change. He's going to get paid this year, especially if he plays 60 games and the Jets make the playoffs. He's going to be a very rich man, through this first year here. But, we'll see how this goes. This is definitely a wait-and-see thing. I know a lot of people don't like the incentives stuff, and I know it could cause a roadblock if the Jets are looking to add at the deadline. That is some cap space that would probably be very valuable to them. But, we'll cross that road, I guess, when we get to it. This is a risky signing for the Winnipeg Jets, maybe not cap-wise, but definitely roster-wise. So we'll see what happens going forward. But, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. This offseason might be kind of crazy. It'd be cool if the Jets got out in front of their problems here trying to replace Ehlers. If they could do it sooner rather than later, I think that would go a long way. Always the possibility of Ehlers sticking around, but, it just doesn't seem that hopeful right now. So, see what happens. But start to the offseason, Jonathan Toews comes home to Winnipeg. How do you guys feel about it? Let me know down below. If this video rubbed you the wrong way, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shit on the parade here. I'm just, trying to be realistic here with Jonathan Toews. If he can be the player that he was in Chicago, Jets are going to be all right. If not, if he has regressed, and I think there's a good chance of that, then, they need to figure out plan B here. But see what happens going forward. No one knows what's going to happen. See what happens in October. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, leave a comment down below. What do you guys think about the Toews signing? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.